What happens when one of the biggest football stars in America sits down for what should be a simple morning talk show interview, only to find himself under attack from a host who seems determined to tear him down? In just 35 seconds of explosive conversation, everything falls apart. One comment, one accusation, one moment where civility completely shatters, and a guest stands up, refuses to be disrespected, and walks off the set, leaving the entire panel in stunned silence. Travis Kelce walked onto the View set that morning with a smile. He waved to the audience, shook hands with the panel, and settled into the guest chair. The crowd cheered. This was supposed to be fun, light, easy. He was there to talk about his foundation, his charity work with kids, maybe share a few stories about the season. Just another day promoting the good stuff. Whoopi Goldberg sat at the head of the table, Joy Behar to her left, Sunny Hostin next to her, Sarah Haynes on the end, and Alyssa Farah Griffin rounding out the panel. The cameras rolled. The audience clapped. Everything seemed normal. Whoopi started with the questions. Standard stuff at first. How's the season going? What's it like being in the spotlight? Travis answered with his usual charm. Relaxed, genuine, making the audience laugh with a story about a kid at one of his football camps who asked if he could throw better than the kid's dad. But then, something shifted. Whoopi leaned forward, and her tone changed. You know, Travis, a lot of people have been talking about you lately. Not just about football, about everything else. The spectacle, the cameras following you everywhere. Some folks are saying you're more interested in being famous than being a footballer. The audience went quiet. Travis's smile faded just a little, but he kept his cool. Well, Whoopi, I'd say those folks don't know me very well. I show up. I do my job. I've been doing it at a high level for over a decade. If people want to pay attention to other parts of my life, that's their choice, not mine. But you're not exactly shying away from it, are you? Whoopi shot back. You're everywhere. Commercials, appearances. It's like you're building a brand instead of focusing on your team. Joy Behar jumped in, trying to lighten things up. Come on, Whoopi. The guy's allowed to have a life outside of football. He's not a monk. But Whoopi wasn't backing down. I'm just saying what people are thinking. There's a difference between having a life and turning your life into a circus. Travis sat up straighter. His jaw tightened. A circus? That's what you think my life is? I think you're distracted, Whoopi said, her voice firm, almost accusatory. I think when you're supposed to be a leader on your team, you're off doing everything except leading. Sunny Hostin shifted uncomfortably in her seat. I don't know if that's entirely fair, Whoopi. Travis has been to multiple championships. He's one of the most accomplished players in the league. Whoopi waved her hand dismissively. Accomplished, sure. But what about now? What about this season? You're telling me all this attention isn't affecting his game? Travis took a breath. You could see him trying to stay calm. My game speaks for itself. I've put up numbers this year. I've made plays when my team needed me. I don't need to defend my work ethic to anyone, especially not someone who doesn't watch the games. Oh, I watch, Whoopi said, her voice rising. I watch you celebrate yourself. I watch you make everything about you. The audience gasped. Sarah Haynes put her hand up. Okay, wait, hold on. This feels like it's getting personal, and I don't think that's what Travis signed up for today. Personal? Whoopi turned to Sarah. I'm asking questions that people want answered. He's a public figure. He can handle it. Travis leaned forward, looking directly at Whoopi. You know what? You're right. I am a public figure. But there's a difference between asking tough questions and just being disrespectful. And right now, you're being disrespectful. Disrespectful? Whoopi's eyes widened. You think I'm being disrespectful because I'm not fawning all over you like everyone else does? No, Travis said, his voice steady but firm. I think you're being disrespectful because you invited me here. And instead of having a conversation, you're attacking me for things that have nothing to do with why I'm here. I came to talk about helping kids, about my foundation, about giving back. And you want to sit here and accuse me of not caring about my team? Of making things a circus? You don't know me. Alyssa Farah Griffin nodded. He has a point, Whoopi. We did invite him to talk about his charity work, and we haven't even touched on that. Whoopi turned to Alyssa, irritation flashing across her face. We'll get to that, but if he's going to be on this show, we're going to talk about all of it. Even the good and the bad. What bad? Travis asked, his voice getting louder. What exactly have I done that's so bad? I play football. I win games. I help kids in my community. I treat people with respect. Where's the bad in that? Whoopi pointed at him. The bad is that you're not who you pretend to be. You act like this humble, hardworking guy. But really, you just want the attention. You want the fame. You want people to worship you. The entire panel went silent. Joy Bahar's mouth hung open. Sunny Hostin shook her head. Sarah Haynes looked down at the table. The audience was frozen. Travis stared at Whoopi for a long moment. Then he laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh someone makes when they can't believe what they're hearing. Wow. Okay, so you think you know me? You think you can sit there and tell me what kind of person I am? You've never met me before today. You've never had a real conversation with me. You've never seen the work I do when the cameras aren't around. But sure, you know exactly who I am. I know what I see, Whoopi said coldly. And what I see is someone who's more interested in celebrity than substance. Travis stood up. The movement was sudden, and it startled everyone. He unclipped his microphone and set it on the chair. You know what? I don't need this. I came here in good faith. I thought this was going to be a respectful conversation. But you've made it clear that you just wanted someone to tear down today, and I'm not going to sit here and let you do it. Whoopi's eyes narrowed. So, you're just going to run away? Can't handle a little criticism? Criticism? Travis's voice boomed now, echoing across the studio. You call that criticism? That's not criticism. That's you trying to make yourself feel important by belittling someone else. That's you using your platform to bully a guest because you think you can get away with it. Well, guess what? You can't. Not with me. Joy Behar stood up, trying to calm things down. Travis, please, let's just take a breath here. But Travis wasn't listening. He was focused entirely on Whoopi. You sit up there like you're some moral authority, like you have the right to judge everyone who comes on this show. But let me tell you something. The way you've treated me in the last 5 minutes tells me everything I need to know about you. You don't care about having real conversations. You just want to create drama. You want to tear people down so you can feel powerful. That's not true, Whoopi said, but her voice wavered just slightly. It is true, Travis fired back, and everyone watching knows it. You invited me here under false pretenses. You said you wanted to talk about my foundation, about the work I'm doing to help kids, and instead, you ambushed me. You disrespected me. And for what? For ratings? For clicks? To make yourself look tough? Sunny Hostin spoke up, her voice quiet but firm. Whoopi, I think maybe we should apologize. This has gone too far. Whoopi turned to Sunny, her face flushed. Apologize? For what? For asking questions. For attacking him, Sunny said. Because that's what this was. That wasn't journalism. That wasn't even good television. That was just mean. Sarah Haynes nodded in agreement. She's right. How we brought him here to talk about positive things, and we turned it into an interrogation. Whoopi looked around the table, and for the first time, she seemed uncertain. But she didn't back down. I'm not apologizing for doing my job. Travis shook his head. Your job is to have conversations, to learn things, to share perspectives, not to bully people. I've been on hundreds of shows, done thousands of interviews, and I've never been treated like this. Ever. Alyssa Farah Griffin looked at Travis with sympathy. I'm really sorry this happened. This isn't how we should treat guests. Travis gave her a small nod. I appreciate that. but I think it's time for me to go." He turned to walk off the set, and that's when Whoopi made her final mistake. "Oh, so you're just going to walk away? That's real mature, Travis. Real professional." Travis stopped. He turned back around slowly. The look on his face was pure disbelief. "Mature? Professional? You're really going to lecture me about being professional after what just happened? You attacked my character. You questioned my integrity. You accused me of things you have no proof of. And now you're going to act like I'm the problem because I won't sit here and take it?" The audience started murmuring. Some people were nodding. Others looked uncomfortable. Whoopi crossed her arms. "I'm just saying, if you can't handle tough questions, maybe you shouldn't be in the public eye." "Tough questions?" Travis laughed again, that same bitter laugh. "You think that's what those were? Let me tell you what tough questions look like. Tough questions are about my performance, about my choices on the field, about strategies and decisions and plays. What you did wasn't tough questions. What you did was a personal attack disguised as journalism." Joy Behar tried one more time. "Travis, please, let's just all calm down and start over." But Travis was done. "No, I'm not starting over. I'm not giving this show another second of my time. You know, I came here because I thought The View was a place where people could have real conversations, where different perspectives could be shared. But this is just a place where the host gets to play judge and jury, and the guest is supposed to sit there and take it. Well, I'm not doing it." He started walking toward the exit again. The cameras followed him. The audience was completely silent now, watching this moment unfold. Whoopi called after him, her voice sharp. "You're making a big mistake. Ian Travis, walking off this show, people are going to remember this." Travis stopped one more time at the edge of the set. He turned back, and when he spoke, his voice was calm, measured, and absolutely final. "You're right. They will remember this. They'll remember that I came here to talk about helping kids, about my foundation, about making a difference in my community. And they'll remember that you turned it into an attack. They'll remember that I stood up for myself when you tried to tear me down. And they'll remember that when I asked for basic respect, you couldn't even give me that. So yeah, they'll remember this. Just not the way you think they will." And with that, he walked off. The set was silent. Whoopi sat at the table, her face unreadable. Joy Behar looked stunned. Sunny Hostin had her head in her hands. Sarah Haynes was staring at the spot where Travis had been standing. Alyssa Farah Griffin was shaking her head slowly. For several seconds, no one spoke. The audience didn't know what to do. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every awkward moment. Finally, Joy Behar broke the silence. "Well, that was something." Whoopi shifted in her seat, clearly trying to regain control. "We'll be right back after this break." But the damage was done. The tension in the studio was thick. You could feel it through the screen. The other panel members weren't looking at Whoopi. They were looking at each other, at the audience, anywhere but at her. Sunny Hostin spoke quietly, just loud enough for the microphones to catch. "That should not have happened." Whoopi turned to her sharply. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means exactly what I said," Sunny replied, her voice stronger now. "We ambushed that man. We invited him here to talk about charity work, and instead, you went after him personally. That's not okay." Sarah Haynes agreed. "She's right, Whoopi. I've been sitting here getting more and more uncomfortable. That wasn't an interview. That was an attack." Whoopi's face reddened. "I was asking legitimate questions." "No, you weren't," Alyssa said firmly. "You were making accusations. There's a difference. You accused him of being fake, of not caring about his team, of being all about fame, and you didn't have any evidence for any of it. You just decided that's who he is and went after him." Joy Behar, usually the peacemaker, nodded slowly. "I have to agree. That got out of hand. We're supposed to be better than that. Whoopi looked around the table at her co-hosts. For a moment she seemed like she might argue, might defend herself further. But then something changed in her expression. Maybe she realized she'd gone too far. Maybe she saw that even her own panel was against her. "We're going to commercial," she said quietly to the producers. The cameras cut away, but the moment was already out there. The audience had seen it. The crew had seen it. And soon, the whole world would see it. In the minutes that followed, while the show went to commercial, the panel sat in uncomfortable silence. Whoopi didn't speak. The others whispered among themselves, but no one addressed her directly. When they came back from commercial, Whoopi's tone was different, subdued. "Before we continue, I want to address what just happened. We had Travis Kelce on the show today, and the interview became heated. He chose to leave, and that's his right." It wasn't an apology. Not really. It was an acknowledgement, but there was no taking responsibility. No admission of wrongdoing. Sonny Hostin wasn't having it. "I think we owe him more than that, Whoopi. I think we owe him an actual apology." Whoopi's jaw tightened. "I'm not apologizing for asking questions." "Then apologize for how you asked them," Sarah said, "because the way you spoke to him was wrong. We all saw it. The audience saw it. And he deserved better." The tension at the table was palpable. This wasn't just about Travis anymore. This was about how the show operated, about respect, about how guests were treated. Alyssa leaned forward. "Look, we can disagree with guests. We can challenge them. That's part of what we do here. But there's a way to do it that's respectful and fair. And what happened today wasn't that." Whoopi stared straight ahead at the camera. "We'll have more after this." Another commercial break. Another moment of uncomfortable silence on set. The rest of the show limped along. The panel discussed other topics, but the energy was gone. The chemistry that usually made the view work was completely shattered. Every segment felt forced. Every laugh felt fake. The audience could sense it. When the show finally ended, the panel dispersed quickly. No one lingered. No one chatted. They just left. But back to that moment when Travis walked off. That's what people would talk about. That's what would replay over and over. The moment when a guest said, "Enough is enough." When someone stood up to a host who thought she could say whatever she wanted without consequences. Travis Kelce didn't raise his voice beyond making his point. He didn't curse. He didn't throw anything. He didn't make threats. He simply stood up for himself with dignity and strength. He called out what was happening, named it for what it was, and refused to participate in it anymore. And in doing that, he showed millions of people watching what it looks like to set boundaries, what it looks like to demand respect, what it looks like to walk away from a situation that's designed to tear you down. The whole thing, from the first pointed question to Travis walking off set, took less than 15 minutes. But in those 15 minutes, everything changed. The dynamic shifted. The power balance flipped. The host who thought she was in control lost it completely. Because here's the thing about respect. You can't demand it by disrespecting others. You can't build yourself up by tearing other people down. And you can't expect someone to just sit there and take it when you're attacking them personally. Travis understood that. He came to that show prepared to be kind, to be open, to share his story. But when kindness was met with hostility, when openness was met with accusations, when his story was twisted into something ugly, he made a choice. He chose himself. He chose his dignity. He chose to walk away. And that walk off, that wasn't weakness. That was strength. That was someone who knows their worth, refusing to let someone else diminish it. That was a man who has accomplished incredible things in his career, who has helped countless kids through his foundation, who has been a leader and a champion, refusing to be treated like he was less than that. The audience in the studio that day witnessed something they'd probably never forget. They came expecting a fun, light interview with a football star. Instead, they got a masterclass in standing up for yourself. They saw what happens when someone refuses to play along with disrespect. They watched a man calmly and firmly draw a line and say, "This is not okay, and I'm not accepting it." Whoopi, for all her experience, for all her years in the industry, made a fundamental mistake. She thought that because she was the host, because she had the home field advantage, because she controlled the show, that she could say whatever she wanted. She thought Travis would just take it, would laugh it off. He would play along. She was wrong. She underestimated him. She underestimated his self-respect. She underestimated his willingness to walk away from something that wasn't serving him. And in underestimating him, she created one of the most memorable moments in talk show history, just not in the way she intended. The other panelists, to their credit, saw what was happening. Joy tried to redirect. Sunny pushed back. Sarah called it out. Alyssa showed empathy. They recognized that this had gone beyond acceptable bounds. They understood that this wasn't journalism or entertainment. This was just mean. And they said so, even though it meant going against their lead host. That takes courage too. To sit at that table, on that show, and tell Whoopi Goldberg that she's wrong, that's not easy. But they did it because it was right. Because they saw someone being treated unfairly, and they couldn't just sit there and let it happen without saying something. In the end, Travis Kelce walked off the View set with his head held high. He didn't slink away. He didn't run. He walked with purpose, with confidence, with the knowledge that he had done nothing wrong. He came in good faith. He was met with bad faith. And he responded with strength and dignity. That's the story. Not a story of a celebrity having a meltdown. Not a story of someone who couldn't handle criticism. But a story of someone who knew when enough was enough. Someone who valued himself too much to sit there and be diminished. Someone who showed millions of people that it's okay to walk away from situations where you're not being treated with basic human respect. Travis Kelce didn't need The View. He didn't need that platform. He didn't need Whoopi's approval or validation. He came to talk about helping kids, and when that opportunity was taken away and replaced with attacks, he made the choice to leave. Simple as that. And Whoopi? She learned that being a host doesn't give you the right to bully your guests. That having a platform doesn't mean you can abuse it. That people will only take so much before they stand up for themselves. She learned that the hard way on live television in front of millions of people. The moment Travis unclipped that microphone, set it on the chair, and started walking, that was the moment everything shifted. That was the moment the host lost control. That was the moment the guest became the one with the power. Because he had the power to leave, and he used it. Every step he took toward that exit was a statement. I don't accept this. I don't deserve this. I won't tolerate this. Each step was a refusal to participate in his own disrespect. Each step was a choice to prioritize his dignity over being compliant. Each step was an example to everyone watching that you don't have to stay in spaces that diminish you. When he stopped that final time, after Whoopi made that last comment about him making a mistake, and he turned around and delivered that final response, that was the exclamation point. That was him making it crystal clear that he understood exactly what had happened, exactly what she had done, and exactly how history would remember this moment. He wasn't confused. He wasn't hurt in a way that would make him doubt himself. He was clear, and in that clarity, he was powerful. The walk-off heard round the world. That's what it became. Not because Travis Kelce was the first person to ever walk off a talk show, but because of how he did it. With class, with strength, with absolute certainty that he was making the right choice. He didn't need to insult Whoopi on his way out. He didn't need to call her names or attack her personally. He simply pointed out what she had done, how it was wrong, and why he wouldn't accept it. He held up a mirror and made her look at her own behavior. And then he left. That's powerful. That's memorable. That's the kind of moment that transcends the show itself and becomes something bigger. A cultural moment. A teaching moment. A moment that people reference when they talk about self-respect and boundaries and knowing when to walk away. Travis Kelce came to The View to spread a positive message about his foundation and the work he does to help kids. He didn't get to do that, but in walking off, in standing up for himself, in refusing to be disrespected, he taught a different lesson, an equally important one, maybe even more important. He taught people that your dignity is not negotiable, that respect is not optional, that you have the right to remove yourself from situations where people are trying to tear you down. He taught people that standing up for yourself doesn't make you difficult or unprofessional. It makes you strong. And that lesson, delivered not through words about charity work, but through action in the moment, might have reached more people and made more impact than any planned segment ever could have. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Travis Kelce proved that. He showed that walking away isn't giving up. It's not weakness. It's not running from a challenge. It's setting a boundary. It's saying, I matter too much to stay here and be treated like this. The View set that day became the site of a masterclass in self-respect. Not from the seasoned television hosts at the table, but from the football player in the guest chair who knew his worth and refused to let anyone make him forget it. Travis walked off. The show went on. But nothing was the same after that, because everyone had seen what happens when you push someone too far, when you mistake patience for weakness, when you think someone will just accept whatever you dish out because they want to be on your show. They won't. At least, not everyone. Some people know better. Some people know themselves better. Some people, like Travis Kelce, know that no platform is worth your dignity. And when faced with that choice, they choose themselves. Every time. That's the story of what happened when Travis Kelce sat down for an interview on The View and ended up teaching everyone watching about self-respect, boundaries, and the power of walking away.